All right, so in the world of AI right now, it feels like everyone is just racing to build the absolute smartest model. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the real race isn't about being the smartest, but about being the most indispensable? Today, we're going to dive into the blueprint for building AI products that users don't just try once, they form real, lasting habits around them. So let's break down how you can make your product something people just can't put down. Just think about that for a second. 79%. Nearly 8 out of 10 of us are hooked to our phones before we've even had our first cup of coffee. Now, this is not an accident. It is absolutely by design. These technologies have become automatic, unconscious habits. They are the first thing we reach for to solve some kind of underlying irritation. So why does this happen? And more importantly, how can you, as someone building the next generation of AI tools, create a product that has that same kind of magnetic pull? It's not just about building a useful utility. It's about becoming the user's go-to solution, the automatic first choice answer to their need. And that's what we're here to do today, break down the exact framework for engineering that response, especially for the unique world of AI. We're going to be using Eyal's proven hook model as our guide. First, we'll talk about why habits are the ultimate advantage in any market. Then we'll dive straight into the 4 phases: trigger, action, variable reward, and investment. Think of this as your roadmap to building for keeps. Okay, first up, why habits win markets. In a market that's just getting more and more crowded, being a little bit better isn't enough to win. The real victory is becoming the first-to-mind solution. When a user feels bored, they don't think, I should check my entertainment apps. They just think TikTok. When they're stuck on a question, they think Google. A habit carves out a little monopoly right there in the user's brain. And this mental monopoly, it translates directly to your bottom line. Hooked users stick around way longer, which drives up your customer lifetime value, or CLTV. They become less sensitive to price changes. They share your product like crazy, which fuels organic growth. And maybe most importantly, they create this powerful moat around your business, making it incredibly hard for competitors to lure them away. So the big question is, how do we actually build these habits? Well, it's not about luck. It's about a blueprint. It's called the hook model, a 4-step process designed to guide users through a cycle over and over again until it becomes a totally unconscious routine. These are the 4 pillars right here. First, a trigger cues the user. Next, an action is the simple thing they do. Then, a variable reward satisfies their need, but in an unpredictable way. And finally, an investment gets them to put a little something into the product, which makes it much more likely they'll come back. Let's dig into each one of these. All right, section 3, the trigger. Everything starts here. This is the spark plug that fires the engine of a user's behavior. But there are 2 very different types of triggers, and knowing the difference between them is absolutely crucial. Okay, so external triggers are the obvious ones we build. That push notification from your new AI assistant or an email update. They're designed to get the user's attention, but the real goal, the holy grail, is to connect your product to an internal trigger, a feeling. So when a user feels stuck on a writing project, or they feel that uncertainty of how to code a new function, their mind should automatically, instantly jump to your AI tool as the answer. So here's the question you have to ask yourself. What is your user's itch? What's their underlying pain? It's almost never, I need to generate some text. It's much more likely to be, I feel the anxiety of staring at a blank page, or I feel the frustration of a problem I just can't solve. The best habit-forming products are painkillers. So you have to identify that itch, that negative emotion, and that's where you'll find your internal trigger. Okay, on to the next phase. Once that trigger fires, the user needs to act. And the cardinal rule here, the absolute #1 rule of the action phase, is to make it as simple as humanly possible. The less thinking they have to do, the better. Dr. BJ Fogg's behavior model explains this perfectly. So any behavior to happen, you need 3 things to converge at the same moment: motivation, ability, and a trigger. Now, you can't always control a user's motivation, right? But what you can control is their ability. As a product builder, this is your easiest and cheapest lever to pull. So your job is to make the action ridiculously simple. And that quote? That's basically the mantra for any great AI interface design. Seriously, think about it. The AI tools that are absolutely crushing it right now, they've all boiled the main action down to its simplest possible form. Usually just a single prompt box, right? There are no complicated menus, no crazy learning curve. You have an idea, you type it, you hit enter. Boom. Doing is so much easier than thinking. Okay, this is where the real magic happens. The user has acted, and now you deliver the reward. But not just any old reward. To create a real habit, you need a variable reward. See, predictability is kind of boring, but unpredictability, that's intoxicating. This taps directly into our brain chemistry. Our brain's reward center, the nucleus accumbens, it lights up with dopamine not when we actually get the prize, but in anticipation of it. And the amazing thing here is that generative AI is, by its very nature, a variable reward engine. You can type the exact same prompt twice and get two different results. That little bit of unpredictability, that mystery of what will it create this time, that is what creates the craving and keeps people coming back. Now, these rewards tend to fall into three big buckets, and AI products are absolute masters of two of them. First, rewards of the hunt. That's the search for that perfect piece of code, that brilliant turn of phrase, or that key insight you've been looking for. And second, they deliver rewards of the self. You know, that amazing feeling of mastery and competence when the AI helps you finally solve a problem you were totally stuck on. All right, let's move to the final and honestly the most overlooked phase of the hook model: investment. This is where you ask the user to do a little bit of work. I know it sounds counterintuitive after we just talked about making things easy, but the timing here is everything. Right after they get their reward, they're feeling good, and they're primed to give a little something back. And this works because of a really cool psychological principle called the IKEA effect. We all do this. We irrationally overvalue that bookshelf we struggled to build ourselves. The same thing is true for digital products. When we put our own effort into something, we become more committed to it. So what does this bit of work actually look like for an AI product? It's simple. It's data. Every single prompt a user writes, every response they regenerate, every thumbs up or thumbs down they click, each one is a small investment of their effort. And this, right here, this is the secret sauce. This is how you win the market. Every single time a user invests their data, the product gets smarter, yeah, but it gets smarter for them. It learns their style, their quirks, their needs. And what does that do? It builds this massive competitive moat. The more a user puts into your tool, the harder it is to leave. I mean, why would they switch to a competitor's AI that knows nothing about them? They'd have to start from scratch. And that right there is how these winner-take-all markets get created. Now, this is obviously a very powerful framework. And with that power comes a huge responsibility. A responsibility to build healthy habits, not mindless addictions. The ability to shape human behavior is a superpower, and it really demands that we think carefully about what we're building and, more importantly, why. The manipulation matrix is a really simple tool to gut-check your own motives. You just ask yourself two questions. 1, does my product materially improve the user's life? And 2, is this something I would use myself? If the answer to both of those questions is yes, then you're a facilitator. You're building something you believe in that provides real, tangible value. And that's the sustainable, ethical place you want to be. So there you have it. You have the model, you have the psychology, and you have the ethical framework. The hook model isn't just about juicing your metrics. It's a way to connect a user's real problem with your solution so deeply that it becomes a seamless, positive part of their life. So the only question left is, what problem are you going to solve?